Good to see you. Back at it. Happy Tuesday, 17th day of August, 2021. I'm Dan Kuntz. And this is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on a very pleasant Tuesday morning. It has tinges of autumn out there. Now, we got a lot of summer to go. We still have over a month of summer to go. We're still going to have sunny and hot days, but man, we need a break, and we're getting one today. We're going to have one of the coolest high temperatures that we've had in quite some time. Our forecast high today is only 75 degrees. So we tied a record high on Saturday, tied a record high on Sunday. We were into the 90s yesterday. We topped off at 93 yesterday afternoon. We're going to be almost 20 degrees cooler for the afternoon high today. In fact, the last time our afternoon high was 75 degrees was 63 days ago, back on June 13th, before summer even started. But we're going to catch a break today. However, it's going to be windy. Big bunch of wind's going to get channeled down through the Omak-Okanagan area. It's going to lose a little momentum by the time it gets down towards us, but we are dealing with a serious north to south wind today. Take a look at that. No red flag warning because it's going to be higher than normal relative humidity. That being said, because the direction of the wind, there has to be some concern with firefighters on the 25-mile fire that the fire may blow back. Of course, it's blowing towards the lake, burning towards the Lake Chelan. It might actually burn over the top and head down towards the Antioch River drainage. We don't want that. Our lead story will be the latest on the 25-mile fire, by the way, plus everything else you need to get your Tuesday going. In sports, we know who's going to play for the West Coast League Championship. Spoiler alert, I'll just tell you now, it's Yakima Valley and Corvallis. There, now you know. But we'll talk about that. Plus some highlights from the Seahawks loss on Saturday night to the Raiders. We'll have that in sports. Speaking of sports, Joel Norman will wrap up the AppleSox 2021 campaign. We had a chance to visit with Joel yesterday at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium on the campus of Wenatchee Valley College. My entire conversation with Joel, last one of the year, will come up in the back half of the program. Plus, the obscure holiday today in history and opinion from my Mad Dog McDotty. We've got some celebrity birthdays to pass your way as well. It is 63 degrees outside, a little windy. Wind out of the west-northwest at 14 miles an hour. It's going to switch directly from the north to the south as the day progresses. The big weather story is going to be the cooler temperatures, but really the wind. It's not going to go away all day today and into the evening hours. Details are coming up. Let's take our tour around north central Washington with our Valley View cameras, courtesy of Localtel's Sky-Fi. Set up, and that is cool. That's the cross camera, I believe, tilted up. Look at them high clouds hanging around. Still some haze, still some smoke from the fires to the north and the fire to the south. There's a fire in the Yakima area as well that made our skies a tad smoky, and we're still going to have some haze, but not nearly as bad. Air quality right now is good pretty much across the board with the exception of the Omak area. Omak is still unhealthy for sensitive groups. Outside of that, the air is clean as we have that much cooler and breezy conditions, which is scouring out all the smoke and the haze. Camera number 2. I don't know. Uriah gets to pick, and I got to decide. It's shaking. It's moving. It's, I'm going to guess, Rock Island? It's Rock Island. Got to be the Rock Island camera. Yep. I can tell because if you look carefully, you can see the Rock Island International Airport, the Rock Island Hilton, the Rock Island Visitors and Convention Center, the Rock Island Dome, and, of course, Alcoa. Good morning from our Rock Island camera high above Rock Island, looking back towards the Malaga-Stamilt area. Nice view there. Camera number 3. And that, you can see it's moving around. It's blowing. Arando Rock says good morning to us. That's panned about as far back as it can be panned. Turtle Rock in the middle of your screen. Wenatchee Valley way off in the distance. There's an automobile on US 97, US 2 on its way back down towards the Wenatchee Valley from our Arando Rock camera, our lowest Sky-Fi camera by elevation. This comes in real handy in the dead of winter when we have that air inversion and we can't really see anything. We use that Rock Island camera, that Arando Rock camera quite a bit. Camera 4. Oh boy, that's Omi Gardens. Omi Gardens, the Stamilt Complex, the Otobashian Bridge, the Wenatchee Valley. That camera is pretty much the same elevation as the cross camera, maybe a little bit higher, pointed back the other direction, and it's moving. And it's supposed to shake like that. The towers are designed to move in the wind, so they don't just snap over and fall down. So there you go. That's why it's moving around a little bit. There's no earthquake going on. It's just a little breezy. And, of course, the Omi Gardens camera is exposed to the wind more than, say, the Arando Rock camera, which wasn't really moving much at all. We briefly showed you that slide from the National Weather Service about the winds we are expecting today. Again, going to channel down through the Omak-Okanagan area, going to pick up in intensity. By the time it gets to Waterville, it's going to kind of slow down a little bit. However, up north, very strong winds, and that's got firefighters nervous. It's not just the 25-mile fire in the Chelan area, but they're still dealing with the Cub Creek fire and the Cedar Creek fire and the fires up near the Winthrop and Mazama area. I'm very concerned that the 25-mile fire may crest with the direction of the winds blowing right down, could actually crest over the top and head down towards the Aniak River drainage. Obviously, they are fighting that fire with all that they can. So the Okanagan Valley, 20 to 30 miles an hour, gusts as high as 45. By the time it gets down to the Waterville Plateau and out of the Columbia Basin, Moses Lake and Ephrata, you're going to be dealing with some windy conditions. If you go to the Grant County Fair, it's opening day today at the Grant County Fair in Moses Lake. It's free, no charge. You'll see winds there 25 to 30 miles an hour, or feel them anyway. And of course, Ellensburg, which always gets quite a bit of wind. So yeah, going to be windy today, all day today. It will die down later on tonight. So without further ado, from the National Weather Service, there you go. Sunshine, could see some light rain to the north of us. It's only 20% chance of rain, but we're going to toss it up there. If it get any rain at all, it's going to be super light. It's going to be late in the afternoon. We'll get up to about 75 degrees, about as cool as we have seen in, 65 days, something like that. And breezy. In the Wenatchee Valley, northwest winds 16 to 20 miles an hour, gusts near 30 at times. Other places that are more susceptible to the winds will have stronger gusts, as you might imagine. A little bit of haze will reform tonight. That's because the wind will be dying down. 58 for the overnight low. That's been a long time. Wednesday, again, back to the sunshine, warmer conditions, very little wind, so we're going to start seeing some hazy conditions again from the area wildfires. And that high of 85, still below normal. Close to normal at 87 degrees on Thursday with quite a bit of sunshine. A passing thunderstorm possible on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The days are getting considerably shorter. We're now losing about 3 minutes of daylight per day. In fact, today is a milestone. Sunrise this morning was at 6 a.m. on the dot. Sunset 8:08, 14 hours and 8 minutes of daylight. And again, we're losing close to 3 minutes of daylight per day now as summer begins to gradually slip away from us. All right, that's your forecast. After a quick 1 minute break, we will have your news, and there is a lot of it on this Tuesday. It's 1 minute away. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Kids are resilient. I just love their energy. They bounce back so quickly. I love the stories they tell. I love just their charisma, their character. I love to see that subtle smile that you pull out of a kid, when you start talking with them about something they really like. I just love what I do, and I can't imagine I would be as happy doing anything else.
What you're doing is ridiculous.
Well,
I mean, you might as well throw up a screen door to block the summer smoke.
sometimes it gets
When we
warm.
breathe in the wildfire smoke, we are ingesting hazardous chemicals such as acetic acid and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. A lot of bad stuff, okay?
Well, yeah, that's why we...
Cardboard ain't gonna cut it.
So...
Go to chelanpud.org/save today.
Beautiful morning. We have high clouds. It is 63 degrees. We're only going to be about 10 degrees warmer for our afternoon high, right around 75. Considerable wind, by the way, all day today into the evening hours. And we're going to have quite a bit of sunshine. Warmer conditions and hazy skies will return on Wednesday. Here are your headlines. One structure is confirmed lost now, and another 135 buildings are threatened as the 25-mile fire continues to burn in timber, brush, and grass northwest of Chelan. Ryan Nichols with the emergency management team gave this update early last night.
Good afternoon, Ryan Nichols with Southeast Washington Incident Management Team 3, number 1, with an update on the 25-mile Creek fire burning on the shores of Lake Chelan. 25-mile Creek proper splits the boundary of the fire. You can see the boundary in the red approximation of the boundary. Again, dumping down into Lake Chelan with a number of primary residences down there along the lake shore and along the 25-mile creek drainage. Primary focus for today's activities has been structure protection along the lake shore drive as well as in the 25-mile creek drainage. We've been very successful with our operations. Most thankful to the local fire districts and surrounding agencies for setting us up with a good plan and doing an excellent job of protecting those structures. As the days progress along, we'll continue to work towards the south and east along the shoreline drive, or excuse me, Lakeshore Drive, continuing with our structure protection and prep to keep the fire from burning down to that roadway. You will see an increase of machinery in working in that area as well as personnel. Would appreciate any members of the public that do come into that Lakeshore Drive area to make sure that they're slowing down as they come into the fire area, making sure that we keep our personnel safety as the #1 priority out there. Aircraft has been primarily working in 2 different locations. #1 just here to the east of the 25-mile creek area off of Hale Road and catching these structures off Lakeshore Drive in here, making sure they're protected and reinforcing this dozer line that's been installed there. That's again rotor wing aircraft that are dipping buckets out of the lake. On the other end of the fire, we're working fixed wing aircraft, including retardant and scooper aircraft that are actually pulling water out of the lake as well. Primarily keeping this portion of the fire in check from burning down into these structures, and just check up the progression as it moves up lake. Again, not only for the safety of the folks on the road, but also for the aviators that are flying that fixed wing aircraft and the helicopters that are dipping out of the water. Any recreational vehicles boating up and down the lake would be advised to stay clear of the area so that we can keep those aviators safe. Otherwise, the fire is burning up into the forest to the west and to the southwest, continuing to look for opportunities to check the fire spread and determine decent line placement to keep this incident within a box that it'll be manageable by the personnel on the ground and set the forest up for the future. That's a general overview of the 25-mile creek incident as it stands today.
And as you might imagine, we'll have more on the 25-mile fire at the evening news tonight at 5, 6, and 10. Speaking of fires, quick action stopped the growth of a brush fire in Wenatchee's #2 Canyon. That was started Sunday night by people illegally target shooting in dry brush. It was one of 3 fires that local firefighters were able to halt on Sunday and then again yesterday. Kay McKellar, spokeswoman for Chelan County Fire District #1, said firefighters responded to the #2 Canyon Road fire at 7:35 on Sunday night, and within 10 minutes the fire had grown to about 2 acres, and that triggered a second alarm that brought in assistance from other area fire agencies. With the help of a helicopter, water drop, and ground crews, that fire uphill had grown to about 5 acres before it was extinguished, before it actually spread into the foothills. Firefighters from Douglas County, Cashmere, and Aniat assisted the Wenatchee firefighters there. At 6:22 yesterday morning, at the 1000 block of Cherry Street in Wenatchee, a Chelan County PUD transformer blew and ignited arborvitae that threatened 2 homes. McKellar said the homes were evacuated, and by 6:28, firefighters had the fire knocked down. Fire Chief Brian Brett stressing the importance of keeping arborvitae away from your home. And at 3:45 on Sunday afternoon, Douglas County Fire District #2 firefighters were able to quickly extinguish a brush fire off Highway 28 near Rock Island that briefly closed a lane of the highway. Kay McKellar said a nearby structure was not threatened and the fire was stopped after burning only about 1/3 of an acre. The cause of that fire has not yet been determined. The body of a Moses Lake woman who went missing in the North Cascades almost 2 years ago has been found. 28-year-old Rachel Lacoduc. She went on a solo hike towards Hidden Lake, the Lookout Cabin at Hidden Lake in the Mount Baker Snoqualmie National Forest. This was back in October of 2019. Bad weather set in and she did not return from the hike. Rescuers found no trace of her at the time, but friends and family continued to organize volunteer searches, and over the weekend a search party found her body and her gear far off the trail. The precise cause of her death is not yet known. The Skagit County Coroner's Office is handling that investigation. More than 160 people contracted COVID-19 at the Gorge Amphitheater's Watershed Festival late last month. About 25,000 people actually went to the three-day festival. The owner of the Gorge now says it will require proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test for people attending concerts. Live Nation announced that move on Sunday. The practice was applied at the Chicago Lollapalooza Festival 3 weeks ago. The Live Nation policy takes effect on October 4th for attendees, performers, and employees at all of Live Nation's venues. That's after the Gorge finishes its season of shows. Phish will be in town on Sunday, October 29th, and the Dave Matthews Band as tradition on Labor Day weekend. It's been a long time since anybody from the public was inside the Discovery Center at Rocky Reach Dam. It's been nearly 2 years, to be precise. It's been closed for that $7.7 million renovation, but the doors are now set to open again in just a few weeks with new hours, new displays, and a new view of the fish that pass up through the dam on the Columbia River. Our very own Jefferson Robbins got a tour of the project and showed us the new museum.
The Discovery Center at Rocky Reach Dam reopens August 25th, and it won't be the same facility you visited last time. The museum shut down in November 2019 for a major upgrade, and now it's got a new focus on education, including the science behind Columbia River hydropower.
Some of the spaces we didn't change, some of the spaces changed quite a bit.
The Discovery Center was originally built in 1962. With the new Discovery Center, the long-running Museum of the Columbia is no more. That large gallery inside the dam powerhouse closed permanently in 2019, with many of its historic exhibits finding new homes in the Discovery Center and others at the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center. New and restored exhibits touch on the Native American history of the Columbia. Moving an antique native canoe from the old museum to the new one proved one of the most challenging aspects.
It was pretty nerve-wracking. They got it off the truck and they had to swing over the 4-bay wall. So it's sitting vertically because it needs to be picked in the middle so they could get it down in the hole. And this thing is, you can imagine this box that's 20-something feet long by 3 feet wide, hanging vertically over an 80-foot drop, and it's just like, oh, please. Don't hope that rigging's good.
Visitors also will no longer be able to walk across the dam and visit the powerhouse without joining a guided tour.
For security and safety reasons, we also wanted to eliminate the public access across the 4-bay deck and just unescorted access into our powerhouse.
A new patio deck offers improved views of the dam and spillway, but the dam's most popular attraction has to be the fish ladder, which allows migratory fish to reach their critical spawning grounds upriver. The window view has been widened and thickened, allowing better views for children and guests using wheelchairs. Debbie Gallagher has been Visitor Services Manager at Rocky Reach for 19 years, and she'll retire later this year after 42 years with the PUD. She says she thinks the planned reopening should draw a crowd, even with COVID-19 restrictions.
We've been closed for 2 years, so people are excited about this, and I mean, they're very excited about the Discovery Center. They remember what it was all these years since 1962, and I think they're just really excited.
The Discovery Center reopens with a ribbon cutting at 9 a.m. August 25th and a reservation-only visitor event August 28th. And unlike in past years, it'll stay open year-round, Tuesdays through Saturdays, with expanded visiting hours. Admission is always free. Jefferson Robbins, NCW Life.
Thank you for that report, Jefferson. And finally on this Tuesday morning, David Beamer, the father of Todd Beamer, who gave his life heroically back on September 11th, 2001, will be the keynote speaker in Kashmir on the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Beamer will speak at the 9/11 Spirit of America Memorial Remembrance in Riverside Park in Kashmir. It will be held from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Of course, Todd Beamer was aboard United Flight 93 when he and other passengers stormed the cockpit to thwart the terrorists who planned to crash the plane into the Capitol. The plane crashed in a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, taking the lives of all 44 people on board, including the 4 hijackers. And that is what's making news on this Tuesday morning. Grant and Malcolm and Cal and Jefferson and I don't know, people come and go into the bullpen, but one way or the other, we put together a newscast for you at 5, 6, and 10 with a preview of the anchor, Grant Olson.
Good morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, much cooler today with wind, haze, and a slight chance for a shower. I'll have all the weather details in your complete North Central Washington weather forecast. And in sports, Eric Granstrom has the latest on the Mariners as they chase a wild card spot and the Seahawks as they prepare for their next preseason game against Denver on Saturday. That and all the day's news stories coming up tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. We hope to see you then. Dan?
Thanks, Grant. And don't forget, we'd love to hear from you. If you got a news tip, you want to drop us a note and say hi, you want to talk to me at the checkout line at the supermarket like a viewer did yesterday, we'd love to hear from you. You can go to our homepage, ncwlife.com, and see the Contact Us icon. That's one way to go about doing it. You can go to our Facebook page, drop us a note via Facebook Messenger. That's another way to go about doing it. You can email us directly, news@ncwlife.com. It's yet another way to go about doing it. Or you can stand on the roof of your house with a bullhorn and yell in our general direction. Don't do number 4. Authorities will come, I'm pretty sure. 21 minutes after the hour, sports, talking Mariner baseball, AppleSox baseball for the last time, plus a little Seahawk news coming your way. We'll have the obscure holiday today in history, some celebrity birthdays, an opinion from Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and my conversation with Joel Norman as we wrap up the AppleSox 2021 campaign. Sports is 1 minute away. Watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
When I went to visit them, there was absolutely no pressure. It's the first time I felt that in a car dealership. Normally you get in there, you're uncomfortable, they're trying to upsell you, trying to sell you insurance or extended warranties. This was no pressure, I got exactly what I wanted. If you're buying a new car or truck, I highly recommend anyone visit Pat Armstrong Ford in Lincoln.
You're in Ford Country.
I'm John Divis from Wenatchee Dental Arts, and I like to think myself as a comprehensive dentist. We are an office that treats people comprehensively for their dental problems. We do a lot of general dentistry in a broad sense. We don't send everything out. Things that we have the ability to do in the office, we like to keep in the office and under one roof and keep things as complication-free as possible. You can come to one place and have all their dental needs taken care of.
23 minutes after the hour, if you're just joining us, very cool today, only 75 for our afternoon high, but it's going to be quite windy, especially to the north of us. We're going to have gusts near 30 miles an hour here in the Wenatchee Valley. Just a little heads up on that. Get ready for a windy day today. In sports, Yakima Valley advances to their first ever WCL Championship Series. They beat Bellingham last night. The final 11-5. 2 big innings, 2 of them, were the difference for the Pippins in the third and deciding game of the WCL North Division Championship. Taylor Holder's 2-run double capped a 4-run first inning for Yakima Valley, and the home team put the game out of reach in the 5th inning. They brought 10 men to the plate, scored 5 runs, highlighted by Sam Olson's 2-run base hit. Kirby Robertson earned the victory on the mound for the former AppleSox coach Kyle Crustangel. The sophomore at Columbia Basin Community College pitched 6 innings. They allowed 3 runs, 5 hits, and they struck out 3, walked 3, so we are good to go. It's the Pippins and Corvallis in the West Coast League Championship. It starts tonight at Yakima County Stadium. First pitch in the best-of-3 series, 7:05. Game 2 tomorrow night in Corvallis. If they need to play Game 3, it would be in Corvallis on Thursday. Coming up, of course, later this morning on this very program, Joel Norman, the broadcasting voice of the AppleSox, will join me to put a bow on the 2021 campaign. Wenatchee finished the just finished campaign 27-30 overall. They were 20-28 in West Coast League play. That was good enough for third in their division. Enzo Apodaca, he led the league in walks, but Wenatchee struggled otherwise. The Sox were league worst in team ERA and fielding, and they finished 7th in batting. Norman said after losing a year to the pandemic, they were just happy to be playing baseball again this year.
We were really grateful to be playing this year at all. There was a lot of adjusting to do. I think there was a lot of changes and a lot of moving parts that happened, before the season that were kind of out of our control. But I was really proud of the effort we put out this year on the field and off. There was a lot of things I felt like improved with this team. But like I said, in a lot of ways, I was just grateful to have a season. I think a lot of us at the beginning of the season, about a week before, we're stressing out on a lot of the details, and we said, wait a second, guys. it's a miracle we're having baseball. We're still in the pandemic. There's still a lot of things to adjust to. And I think just from talking to a lot of the other league teams, Dan, I think they felt that way too. Would we have liked the record to have been better? Absolutely. We'd love to be playing a game tonight at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium in front of fans. But, it's just hard to make the playoffs every year. This isn't the West Coast League of 10 years ago even. One of the last times the AppleSox were in the mix among those playoff teams. I mean, we had a great team in 2019. We looked to build off of that, and the league punched back, and that's not a surprise in a lot of ways, Dan. It was a really strong league this year all around, and we were just kind of caught in that in-between group of teams who were close to the playoffs but not quite there.
And again, my complete conversation with Joel Norman will air in the back half of this very program today. The Mariners begin a 10-game road trip there in Texas to take on the Rangers tonight. Seattle will send Tyler Anderson to the bump. The Rangers will go with Spencer Howard. Anderson has a 5-8 record on the season. His ERA is 4.24. Howard still looking for his first win. He has a 5.61 ERA. First pitch at Globe Life Park in Arlington, 5:05 this afternoon. Seattle gained a half game in the wild card race. Oakland fell to the White Sox in Chicago, 5-2. Louis Robert went 3 for 4 with 3 runs and a solo home run. The Angels fell to the Yankees 2-1. All the scoring coming on home runs in the first inning. Justin Upton hit a solo shot for Los Angeles. Joey Gallo followed in the bottom of the first with a 2-run home run, and that was it. All pitching after that. Garrett Cole earned his 11th win on the mound for my Yankees. Houston dropped a seesaw battle to Kansas City. In Kansas City, Salvador Perez had a 2-run base hit in the bottom of the 8th to give the Royals the 7-6 victory. So the Mariners now trail Oakland by 5 games in the chase for that final American League wildcard spot heading into the series in Texas tonight. Wasn't a ton of great plays to show you in Seattle's 20-7 loss to the Raiders on Saturday night in beautiful Las Vegas. But as the team gets back to practice today at the VMAC in Renton, there were some positives to soak in for the first preseason game. It starts on offense. DJ Dallas converting a 4th and 4 into a 44-yard touchdown.
From the look, and I knew it was gonna pop. I just was like, yes. Like as soon as I caught the ball, it's like, oh yeah. They were in double A gap like mud, and I knew I had a route that was gonna out leverage them. I thought I was just gonna get big yards, but it turned into a touchdown. So.
The big play makes the touchdown play was a big play by Alex, also reading the blitz and picking it, and but then that was a big convert for DJ to take the ball, make the miss, and score a big touchdown for us.
Yeah, Coach had a good call. It was a man play, and we got man, and DJ, he gave me a little friendly reminder that he goes, I think he said, it's going to be quick, or it's going to happen, or it's man, or he said something that reminded me, that he's first in the progression, and I mean, he made a great play. Like I just threw it to him. He made the people miss, and he ran 45 yards, and he made a heck of a play.
That was the offensive highlight on Saturday night. Defensively, we got to turn to Ryan Neal, who converted an interception after Alton Robinson pestered the Raiders quarterback.
I mean, Alton Robinson, man, getting pressure on the quarterback, helping me out doing his job. And, when one person do their job and give a gift for another. So, it was just a team effort, and, it was floating up there. So I just grabbed it, made a play, and called it a day.
I'd say it's 50-50, man. It's a team effort, you know what I mean? I was able to get the pressure, he was able to get the pick, and offense was able to get the ball, so we're happy about it.
A really good night for Alton Robinson and for Daryl Taylor. Those guys played a lot of football, and we're trying to get them going.
Yeah, I mean, it all starts with, with the run game, too. Got to stop the run. They can't have any explosive runs. Got to shut the run game down so we can have ourselves a better setup for third down. So that's just all it comes down to. But second half was a lot better. We got into some third and long situations, got some wins, got the offensive ball back. They scored. So we just got to, do our part, get the offensive ball back so they can make more plays for us as well.
Seahawks and Broncos Saturday night, Lumen Field, kickoff at 7 o'clock with fans in the stands. And those are just some of the games that people are playing on this Tuesday, the 17th day of August. I had three obscure holidays to choose from. Today is National Nonprofit Day, also known as my checkbook. Today is National I Love My Feet Day, and I do. I have great feet. But no, today is Black Cat Appreciation Day, because black cats get the short end of the stick. Now, of course, way back in medieval times, in ancient times, cats were worshipped. They killed mice, and they were seen as lucky. And then sometime in the Middle Ages, cats got the short end of the stick. All cats did. They were considered stealing your soul. And even though we've gotten past all of that superstition and nonsense, black cats still have a bad rap. In fact, it's true, and I checked this, black cats are less likely to be adopted from animal shelters than any other kind of cat, regardless of the color. Black cats have a hard time getting adopted, which is too bad. I had a black cat. It was a great cat. Very loving and fun, and it just had great personality. It had no control over its color. We appreciate black cats. Felix the cat was a black cat, right? Luna from Sailor Moon, black cat. The cat from the Tales of the Dark Side, the movie. Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Black cats, they get a bad rap. And the odds are pretty good. If you go to the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society today to adopt a cat, there will be a black cat or 2 or 9 waiting for a home. Black cats are cool, all right? Give them a break today. Black Cat Appreciation Day, 31 minutes after the hour. Today in history, we're going to show you a photo that might be somewhat disturbing. It's the lynching of Leo Frank, which happened on this date in 1915, 2 years after he was convicted of the murder of 13-year-old Mary Fagan at a pencil factory in Marietta, Georgia. Jewish-American Leo Frank owned the factory. He was convicted of the murder of Mary Fagan in August of 1913. He was sentenced to death by hanging. 2 years later, citing evidence that was not available at that time during the trial, the governor of Georgia commuted Leo Frank's sentence to life in prison. The governor of Georgia and his family were run out of the state by a mob. They never returned. Again, this was 2 years after he was convicted, and when 28 men drove to the prison where he was being held, handcuffed the warden, abducted Leo Frank, drove the 175 miles back to Marietta, Georgia, and lynched him. Everybody knew who did it. Their pictures are right there. Nobody was tried. The consensus of researchers today is that Leo Frank, in fact, had nothing to do with the murder of Mary Fagan. The man who testified against him, the janitor at the pencil factory, Jim Conley, more than likely committed the crime. In 1986, Leo Frank was pardoned by the Georgia State Board of Parole. That happened on this date, August 17th, 1915. On an entirely different note, he did it. Lou Gehrig. Yeah, August 17th, 1933. That would make it 88 years ago today. Lou Gehrig plays in his 1,308th consecutive baseball game, passing Everett Scott to become the all-time leader in consecutive games played. Lou Gehrig would go on to break his own record 822 more times. By the way, the Yankees lost to the Browns in St. Louis 7-2. And finally, August 17th, 1962, 59 years ago today, the Berlin Wall was only a year old. Peter Fechter decided he wanted his freedom. He went for it, climbed on the eastern side of the wall, ran into the dead man zone, was shot in the pelvis while he was climbing the wall to make it to freedom in plain view of hundreds of witnesses. He fell back into the death strip on the East German side of the Berlin Wall. West German onlookers could see him. The guards could see him. Journalists could see him. Citizens could see him. Thousands of people watched him scream in agony. He received no medical assistance from the East German guards. Those on the west side, West Berlin police threw bandages. He could not reach them. Peter Fechter bled to death after 1 hour. He was 18 years old. And finally, birthdays at 34 minutes after the hour. Born on a mountaintop in Tennessee, greatest state in the land of the free, raised in the woods so we knew every tree, killed him a bar when he was only 3. Davy Crockett, now we have to pay royalties. Davy Crockett, legendary American, born in the state in 1786, served in Congress for a couple of terms from the state of Tennessee, went west to the Alamo to find out what was going on there and met his maker at the age of 49, one of the great American folk heroes, Davy Crockett, born in the state in 1786. Francis Gary Powers, name's gonna, wait a minute. He was an American pilot who was working for the CIA. He was shot down over the Soviet Union in his U-2 spy plane on a reconnaissance mission. The famous U-2 incident of 1960 spent a couple of years in the Gulag in the Soviet Union. They eventually sent him back to the United States. Francis Gary Powers, born in the state in 1929, died in a helicopter crash in 1977 at the age of 47. He was a helicopter pilot for KMBC in Los Angeles. He and his cameraman were reporting on a fire in the foothills of Los Angeles. They were flying back to the television station. The helicopter ran out of gas. He crashed. He died. Francis Gary Powers, one of those footnotes, American history, born in the state in 1929. And two actors with a whole bunch of awards on their mantle. Robert De Niro, 78 years old. He won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for playing Vito Corleone in The Godfather Part 2. Of course, he won the Best Actor for Raging Bull, one of my all-time favorite movies. Bang the Drum Slowly, Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, The Deer Hunter, The King of Comedy, Midnight Run, The Mission, Goodfellas, Awakenings, Cape Fear. Robert De Niro, 78 years old today. Sean Penn has 2 Academy Awards for Best Actor. He won for Mystic River and again for Milk, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Carlito's Way, and Sean Penn was married to Madonna and lived to tell about it. He should get an award right there. He's 61 years old today. 36 minutes after the hour, an opinion from my Mad Dog McNaughty, and then my conversation with the voice of the AppleSox, Joel Norman, as we wrap up the 2021 AppleSox season. That's coming up. You're watching Wake Up in Anchi Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Come on, I'm a certified technician. I was trained to take good care of you.
9. I've only been to the dealer.
I've been coming here for years. These guys are great.
Look around. The BMW, the Jag, the Volvo, they're all waiting for regular service. Well, the BMW has a little computer issue, but that's nothing we can't handle. Come on in.
From regular maintenance to computer troubleshooting, trust the Global Car Care technicians with your import, diesel-powered, or domestic vehicle. Global Car Care. They speak your car's language.
Dankeschön.
Flooring is the foundation of decorating. It sets the tone for your home and reflects your lifestyle. At Apple Valley Floors to Go, their goal is to help you make that choice a great experience. You'll find extensive flooring options at their beautiful East Wenatchee showroom. Engineered hardwoods, laminates, vinyl planks, carpeting. Do it yourself or have their professional installation team do the work for you. Family owned and operated in East Wenatchee.
You love to help others. You need a solid career. You can have it all with help from Charter College. Our 10-month medical assistant program prepares you to work in healthcare settings like physician offices, rehab centers, and clinics. You'll learn to take patient vitals, assist with exams, administer injections, and maintain medical records. When you're ready to launch a rewarding healthcare career, visit chartercollege.edu because we work to get you to work.
From public health to politics to education and everything in between, come along with me as I take a look at the important stories and issues that matter to all of us here in North Central Washington. I'm a freelance journalist and opinion columnist who has covered everything from illegal militias to mom and pop shops, and now I'm bringing my unique, historically rooted perspective to the stories that matter most. I'm Dominic Bonney. Join me for a daily dose on NCW Life.
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, they believe your investment success begins with a personalized plan. A plan that is the roadmap you need to navigate your way to living your best years in retirement. D.A. Davidson can help you create a plan so you can take the time to enjoy the finer things in life. Let the financial advisors at D.A. Davidson help chart your retirement future today.
For more than 56 years, Crown Furniture and Mattress has been serving North Central Washington with the same principles we were founded on, offering the best quality, great value, incredible comfort, honesty, integrity, and of course, made in the USA. Because so much of our inventory is made in America, it has alleviated a lot of the shortages companies are experiencing nationwide. We are overstocked and ready to deliver. So stop by and see us today or visit us online at www.crownfurnitureandmattress.com.
Crown Furniture, where prices really are low.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. Now, during USA discussions regarding gun control, there was a people's organization, not a government agency, which supported the following legislation. prohibitive taxation on the ownership of automatic weapons. They supported mandated licensing for handgun dealers, waiting periods for handgun buyers, mandated licensing for others who sold guns, requiring permits for carrying concealed weapons, and a licensing system for gun dealers. Wow. Well, you know the name of that organization? The National Rifle Association. Yep, the NRA, which supported the 1934 Federal Firearms Act. Interesting, isn't it? This is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and that's my opinion.
Crystal's Restaurant and Lounge in Leavenworth has a warm environment to enhance your dining experience. Serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week. Crystal's Intimate Lounge is a wonderful place to relax and dine with beautiful views of the mountains. Do you have a special occasion coming up? Call Crystal's to reserve their event space. Whether your event is grand, intimate, or casual, Crystal's provides unforgettable food and superb service. Crystal's Restaurant and Lounge, proud to be serving fabulous food and drinks.
Green Motion e-bikes have rolled into Wenatchee. We've got fun, affordable e-bikes for the whole family. Portable e-bikes that fit right in the trunk of your car. Fat tire mountain bikes plus unique vintage style bikes you won't find anywhere else. Get some exercise with pedal assist or just cruise up to 20 miles per hour with the throttle. Starting under $1,000, Green Motion e-bikes are affordable fun for the whole family.
Few things strike fear in the human heart, like the possibility of a rattlesnake bite. Dogs can encounter rattlesnakes on their walks or in their yards, and being curious, often get bitten on their face, neck, and legs. Luckily, a vaccination is available to help neutralize venom so dogs experience less pain and swelling. Even if your dog has received a vaccine, you still need to seek immediate help. Dr. Shauna Bayes and the staff of Paws and Claws care about your pet's health. Call 888-PAWS to schedule your vaccination today.
Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Is there anything sadder than an empty ballpark on an August morning? I don't think so, but we still have AppleSox baseball to talk about. Season's over. All in all, not a bad season. Certainly some entertaining baseball was played here at Paul Thomas Senior Field. To put a bow on the 2021 campaign is a gentleman, I'm sorry, the name again?
Joel Norman.
Joel Norman is the broadcasting voice of the Wenatchee Wild. Joel, you saw every game but 3. You were a little under the weather, couldn't make a trip, I believe, to Bend.
Yep.
Outside of that, you saw every game this team played, home and away, league, non-league. We'll just start out with the basic, your impressions of the 2021 AppleSox.
Well, you know, it was a season of gratitude, I think is the best way to put it. We were really grateful to be playing this year at all. There was a lot of adjusting to do. I think there was a lot of changes and a lot of moving parts that happened, you know, before the season that were kind of out of our control. But I was really proud of the effort we put out this year on the field and off. There was a lot of things I felt like improved with this team. But like I said, in a lot of ways, I was just grateful to have a season. You know, I think a lot of us at the beginning of the season, about a week before, you know, we're stressing out on a lot of the details, and we said, wait a second, guys. You know, it's a miracle we're having baseball. We're still in the pandemic. There's still a lot of things to adjust to. And I think just from talking to a lot of the other league teams, Dan, I think they felt that way too. You know, would we have liked the record to have been better? Absolutely. We'd love to be playing a game tonight at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium in front of fans. But, you know, it's just hard to make the playoffs every year. This isn't the West Coast League of 10 years ago even. You know, one of the last times the AppleSox were in the mix among those playoff teams. I mean, we had a great team in 2019. We looked to build off of that, and you know, the league punched back, and that's not a surprise in a lot of ways, Dan. It was a really strong league this year all around, and we were just kind of caught in that in-between group of teams who were close to the playoffs but not quite there.
And there was, and it should be pointed out, word is out now in the baseball community about the West Coast League. The West Coast League has never had a bigger talent pool to come up to the Pacific Northwest and ply their trade during the baseball season. Word's out. Kids want to come here and play.
Absolutely. And I think that's only going to improve next summer when we've got 16 teams in this league. You bring back the Canadian teams, you bring in a new team in Springfield. It's going to be a heck of a lot of competition next year, and I hope they expand the playoff field. You know, I've been saying this to a lot of people. I say it's tough to make the playoffs in the West Coast League. This year, 10 teams, only 4 make it. This isn't like, you know, the BCHL where every team makes it in, so to speak. And of course, not exactly like that, but you get my point, though.
Sure.
It's always been the way baseball is. The best of the best make the playoffs, and I think that's a challenge to us, and that's something we looked at in going into 2019, and we got there. Now we've got to get back to that point because right now, if you can just get in, you don't know what's going to happen. And we saw that with the Bellingham and Yakima series. Bellingham had a 500 record, yet they stomped Yakima Valley in game 1. So just getting in sometimes can be enough, and then you kind of go from there and you roll the dice.
Joe puts out an important point. They play so many baseball games each year that there are no real fluke playoff teams. The best teams always make the playoffs because of the sheer number of games that are played. That being said, there was also a huge amount of roster turnover, and there always is roster turnover in the West Coast League. They got players who come in from local high schools to fill out the roster, while the other players who make college commitments wrap up their collegiate season. Then they come, those players go away, then they leave, and other players. You had huge roster changes all year long. Did that play a role in the team finishing at 500?
And I think a lot of ways, actually, this year we had a pretty consistent roster, which was a really nice change of pace compared to 2019. That said, I think the challenge was we had at one point 35 players on the team for about a month. How do you manage, playing 35 players in July?
And they all want to play.
We had a stretch where we had 4 different catchers, and we had a million pitching options, too. We had a guy who we thought was going to close games for us this year. We tossed 7 innings. And, we had a guy who we thought was going to be a mop-up man. He threw more innings than him. So it's just kind of funny the way it works out, and I think that's the challenge moving into 2022 is you've got all these options, which is great, but how do you manage that? And I think at times there were decisions that could have changed the events of games. And I think that cost us at least 5 or 6 games this year. And that's something we're going to reevaluate going into 2022 is how do we avoid losing those types of games? So
you win those 5 or 6 games, you're in the playoffs.
Exactly. It was that close of a deficit because you look at how the division went. Bellingham was only about 2 or 3 games ahead of the AppleSox. So those kind of things matter. And the AppleSox have always been a team who's embraced, advanced statistics, especially since Jose has come on board. And I think that's something we'd like to see, continue to improve in 2022. So there's a lot of work to be done, and a lot of that starts right now. We've already flipped the calendar. We're on to 2022. We're on to preparing and having a full off season this time instead of 2 off seasons to prepare. But we think, with a lot of the memories of this season still fresh, we can only improve moving forward.
Don't want to single out any one AppleSox player or group of players, but right now we're going to single out some AppleSox players and groups of players. Some of the players that came in with this summer of 2021 that really impressed you, Joel.
Well, let's start with Michael O'Hara. We had him on the program about a month or so ago, and he was such a great representative, hence why he won the Tommy Watanabe Award, just for his his passion, respect for the game, and everyone in it. He was a fantastic representative and a good ball player. You could tell he was pumped up no matter whether it was the final game of the season and we were out of playoff contention or his first game in town. And he was a breath of fresh air when he joined this team in late June. I was also really impressed with a couple of other guys. I talked about we had 4 different catchers. John Newman Jr., batting average didn't show it, but he was a big leader on the field. Our official scorekeeper, Terry Ayton, he went down one time for a non-league game and he umped it. And he was telling us after, he said, boy, Newman talks the whole game, and he is on his infielders. And you love that kind of stuff. And that's a guy who's only going to be a sophomore this fall. So you love that kind of leadership. On the mound, there was a lot of different options as well. It was so fun watching guys like Cole Hatton improve, a guy who came in. He's an incoming sophomore now at St. Martin's, and he had an ERA over 7 this past year in the spring. But he came in here, and he just improved every single time. He was really good. Jack Lee finished the summer really strong. Cam Liss's numbers aren't, cognizant of the pitcher that he is. He's much better than his numbers showed. And Chase Skrillo did a fantastic job. He was 1 save away from being the league leader in the West Coast League. He was that good all summer. And it's so fun because we had a lot of different guys who were going to the local schools, too. We pulled 2 different players from Wenatchee Valley College this season, Ben Lead and Ronan Haynes, who I believe are back with the Knights this year. We had 4 different players who were playing at Washington State, and we had a couple guys at Gonzaga as well. And that's what it's all about. We want our fans to know who these guys are and to follow them after they leave Wenatchee, too, especially in the hopes that they'll come back.
Speaking of coming back, Ian Sanderson, in a very strange situation. Of course, Coach Krusnagel left the team at the end of 2019. Ian Sanderson was brought on board as the head coach, and there was no 2020 campaign, so this was his first year here. What is Coach Sanderson's marching orders as the season is now over? What's his responsibilities to the team as they look forward to 2022?
We're going to chat with him later this week, just kind of talking about, reviewing the season overall and looking at, what went right, what went wrong. It's a lot of the, like I said, this whole month of August is basically a reflection. We have the time now where we can reflect on that Tuesday in July that felt like it didn't matter at the time, but it turned out to be a big game. So we're going to chat a lot with him moving forward, and then, after that becomes the roster construction and moving forward and seeing what we can do to get back out on the field and have someone finally knock off Corvallis. That's that's the goal right now. I think the whole league has kind of had a bullseye on the Knights right now. You got to knock that team off because they're the best of the best. And so we're gonna take a look at how the rest of the West Coast League playoffs do as well, and trying to see what kind of things they're doing that maybe we don't do. But we'll have to see, Dan, because there's always things to improve. I thought there's definitely some stuff on the field I'd like to see next season personally. I thought you don't like to say you want to see a team bunt, but you'd like to see a team bunt at certain times. And that was how Corvallis beat teams. Not a lot of guys are going to the college level to learn how to bunt, but the thing is, at the end of the day, is if it won ball games, it won ball games. And I think that's a big thing to look at moving forward, is what are some things we can do on the field that maybe it's not flashy, maybe it doesn't sign the big checks, but does it win ball games? At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Coach Sanderson was pretty aggressive on the base paths. He had guys hitting and running and stealing quite a bit, but as you mentioned, it didn't quite result in as many runs as maybe you would have liked.
It was a strange team because we swung and missed a lot, but we also were really patient and we drew a lot of walks, and we stole the bases very well. I think we could have led the league in stolen bases if we had gotten off to a more consistent start with base running. And I think that's the big thing. We keep talking about this year after year. When are we going to have a strong first half? Because that's the goal. And something Coach Crustangel improved on this year. He won the first half with Yakima Valley, and I think that's every team's goal. You win the first half, relax, develop guys in the second half, and just kind of tweak and move forward. And that's our goal again for 2022. Since I got here, that's been a goal of this organization. Win the first half and then deal with whatever you have to deal with in the second half, because it makes your life a whole lot easier. So, that's something we're going to look at. I mean, like you said, we did a great job stealing bases. There's a lot of guys on this team who could run, and I think we should have led the league. There was a couple guys who were top 5. They probably should have had even more stolen bases. But that's something that'll be reevaluated, whether those players come back or new ones come in their place. I think the stolen base is a lost art in the game, but at the college level, you still see it a lot. And that's the type of thing. We're at that in-between where I talked about bunts. You don't see bunts a ton at the professional level, but you still see them at this level because some guys don't know how to field them. So to not bunt or do something like that is kind of ignorant, because why would you not take advantage of a flaw defensively?
As we sit here, the sprinkler system is running here at Paul Thomas Senior Field. The ballpark is empty. Let's get rid of a couple of myths and misconceptions to the baseball offseason, specifically regarding the Wenatchee AppleSox. You're not running off to your hammock.
I'm not. I don't even have a hammock.
You don't even have a hammock. You guys work just as hard, if not harder, in the off season than you do in the regular season. Walk me through between the middle of August and come late May, early June of next year. What are you guys going to be doing?
Well, to put it simply, the off season's a grind. We have games every day in the summer, and that can be a lot at times. But it's almost tougher to get through the off season when you're sitting there in February and going, well, how many days till baseball again? So the off season, it starts right now. We're spending a lot of this month just reevaluating how this past season went on the field, speaking with members of the team, coaches, players, evaluating how they did, and talking about 2022 with them as well. After that, we're going to kind of move into speaking with our sponsors a lot, asking if they enjoyed how things were this year and trying to approach new sponsors as well. That's a big part of our operations. You wouldn't see the signs on the outfield. If we didn't have those, we wouldn't have a baseball team. So our sponsors are critical. They're the most important part of our success. And then also stuff like chatting with our host families. They're right there with the sponsors. Without them, we don't take the field. So kind of reevaluating how those things went, looking to get new ones as well. And we're always happy to have new members of our team. It's baseball. It's supposed to be fun, and it is fun. I always tell people, if you haven't come out, just come to a game and then tell me you didn't have fun, because you're going to have a fun time at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. And trying to remember that in the cold days this offseason and selling that to people, selling them warm weather and the crack of the bat and, a drink at the ballpark, that's what we're trying to sell this offseason. And just remind people of how, you just come out here, we promise you're going to have a fun time.
Baseball franchises don't last for 22 years unless they're doing something right, and the AppleSox are a perfect example of that. 22 years and still going strong here in the Wenatchee Valley. Let's close on a personal note, Joel. At the end of the 2019 season, Joel took a job back east with a minor league ball club to be their media guy and their play-by-play guy. That fell through because it didn't play baseball in 2020. Yep. You came back.
Yeah.
You came back to join the AppleSox for 2021. What's next for Joel Norman? Are we going to see you around here a little bit or what?
We'll wait and see now. You know what I mean? For right now, I'm here with the AppleSox. I'll definitely look at some different options this offseason. But, I was just so fortunate I'm grateful to be brought back with the AppleSox. When I lost that job this past April, the first thing I thought is, well, I just want to go back to Wenatchee. I need something familiar, and I need something I know that I enjoy. I think with all the unknown of this past year that it presented for everyone, it felt in my mind that it was the right time to go somewhere familiar. And Would I have liked to have been calling postseason baseball tonight? Absolutely. But it was just so fun getting back out here, seeing a lot of the same familiar faces, and meeting some new ones. College summer baseball is so rewarding, Dan. I don't know, and obviously I'm not speaking from experience, but I don't know if it's that way moving forward to the professional level, whether it's the minors or MLB. I don't know if that's the same case, but you feel like you know everyone on the team at the summer ball level. And that goes for the fans, too. I think a lot of them feel like that. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's a time, it brings us back to a time that's no longer here, where the game was a lot simpler in a lot of ways. And the players were just wondering what was for dinner after the game, not going off to, their sports cars, and that's what I enjoy so much about this game. And if I do leave it, it's something I'm really going to miss, feeling like I knew everyone on the team and just getting to know people. So I was really great. Like I said, I was really grateful to be back. I'm always going to be supporting the AppleSox, whether I'm working for them or not. It's just been, it was a lot of fun coming back this season.
Joel, I'm glad you came back. And kudos to Jose Oglesby, the owner of the AppleSox. When Joel left, he brought in a replacement, and then Joel came back, but he could have gotten rid of him, but he didn't. He kept you both on board.
Jose's like the nicest guy ever.
He is the nicest guy.
That's the thing.
And something else that I think a lot of people forget, only the Wenatchee AppleSox and the Yakima Valley Pippins are the only two teams in the league that broadcast every one of their games on radio, home and away.
Yep.
We're the only two teams that do it.
Yeah, it's just critical to our success. You have the games on radio. It just speaks a different level of what type of product you're putting out there.
And we want to thank you for letting us come out and televise a few games this summer. It was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you guys for your coverage. It was fun having you. I hopped on with Eric a couple times.
You did?
You were able to spot that from center field.
I did.
So, a lot of fun.
Yeah, who's kidding who? My camera work was brilliant. Well, I showed up anyway. Joel Norman, the voice of the AppleSox. Let's have a great off season. I can't wait for 2022. As soon as the schedule comes out for next year,
we'll let you know.
We'll let you know, and we'll make it happen. All right.
Sounds good. Thanks,
all right.
Dan.
Joel Norman, the voice of the Wenatchee AppleSox, as we wrap up the 2021 campaign. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back. When your heating or cooling system is giving you trouble, call the diagnostic doctor from Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning.
Here's the culprit right here.
All joking aside, when you call Dick's, you're calling 35 years of experience at customer service right here in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's strongly believes in repairing before replacing, and they service all major brands of HVAC units.
Coming home should never be a chore. Let Merry Maids of Wenatchee customize all your cleaning needs. Weekly, bi-weekly, special occasion. Do you have a vacation home that needs cleaning? We clean them too. Locally owned and operated, let Merry Maids do the cleaning while you focus on your family and friends. Merry Maids has special offers to fit your budget. Request your free cleaning estimate today. 509-663-1710.
It was 63 degrees when we started this show. It's still 63 degrees. We're only going to be about 12 degrees warmer than that for the afternoon high. It's borderline comfortable. This might even be a really good day to shut off your HVAC, your AC, and give it a little bit of a break and open up the windows because it's going to be windy. We have a slide from the National Weather Service. Considerably stronger winds to the north of us, especially in the Omak-Okanagan area. It's going to channel right down that narrow little valley, about sustained winds in the Omak-Okanagan area of 20 to 30 miles an hour. By the time it gets down here, it's going to start petering out a little bit, but we are still going to have considerable winds, and so obviously the potential for the existing fires to spread to the south is an ongoing concern, especially the 25-mile fire, because it may actually crest and start burning down towards the Antioch River drainage. We don't want that. So it's going to be windy today, and it's going to be cool. From the National Weather Service, your forecast looks something like this. Lots of sunshine, a little bit of wind. By a little bit, we're meaning northwest wind about 16 to 20 miles an hour. Gusts near 30 at times. For the Wenatchee Valley, Waterville, you're going to have some stronger winds. Also, it's going to be windy out in the Columbia Basin. Just a heads up, if you're heading to day one to the Grant County Fair, be prepared for some wind out of the Moses Lake area as well. Only 75. It's been 63 days since our afternoon high was 75 degrees. It's going to feel good. 58 for the overnight low. Winds die down tonight. We start warming back up again, and we do have the potential for more haze and more smoke, depending on really on how much wind we get and how hot the fires get. So there you go. Breezy and cool today. Bring it on. Have a great Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.